All right, let's dive into the story of the Kingdom of Wu, from China's famous Three Kingdoms period. It's a fascinating tale of a southern empire whose golden age, believe it or not, held the very seeds of its own destruction.
It's a question we see again and again throughout history, right? How does a truly powerful dynasty just fall apart? Is it always some huge invading army? Or maybe economic collapse? Or just maybe, is it something else entirely?
Well, for the Kingdom of Wu, the answer is pretty clear. The fatal blow didn't come from the outside. As we're about to see, its greatest enemy was actually a flaw built right into its foundation. A weakness that was just festering from within, waiting to tear it all down. So, let's set the scene. We're in the final, chaotic years of the Han Dynasty. It's a total free-for-all. And out of this turbulence, a single incredibly ambitious family of warlords decides they're going to carve out a kingdom for themselves down in the south. Now, Wu's beginnings were rocky, to say the least. First, the patriarch Sun Jian gets killed in battle. Then his son, the super charismatic Sun Si, makes these amazing gains, only to be assassinated a few years later. And just like that, this whole fragile new state falls onto the shoulders of his 18-year-old brother, Sun Quan. I mean, talk about a perilous inheritance.
But the Sun family had a huge ace up their sleeve: geography. They were based south of the massive Yangtze River, which was basically a giant natural fortress. It made invading them from the north incredibly difficult. And this protection, it gave the young Sun Quan the breathing room he desperately needed to get his feet under him and start building a real, lasting state.
And boy did he build. Under Sun Quan's leadership, Wu didn't just manage to survive, it absolutely thrived. It entered a true golden age of prosperity and power.
52 years. Just think about that for a second. In an age of constant warfare and betrayal, Sun Quan's reign was this incredible anchor of stability. For more than half a century, he was at the helm, and that long, steady leadership became the bedrock for everything that made Wu great.
And that stability, it paid off big time. Wu just exploded into an economic powerhouse. They're digging new canals, they're mastering this beautiful Celadon pottery, and they're building a massive shipbuilding industry. We're talking about advanced ships that could hold up to 1,000 people. These fleets established trade routes all the way to Vietnam and Cambodia, turning Wu into a legitimate maritime empire. Okay, but beneath this shiny surface of wealth and power, there was a crack in the foundation, a deep structural weakness. And this one fatal flaw, it was eventually going to bring the whole thing crashing down.
So you have to ask, what was this prosperous kingdom actually built on? A strong central government? Some kind of unified, loyal bureaucracy? The answer is, well, not really.
Yeah, this table really lays it out. You can see just how different Wu was. Its rivals, Wei and Shu, were building what you might call more normal states, with centralized governments and formal systems. But Wu, its whole power structure was decentered. See, the Sun family were basically outsiders in the south. They couldn't just show up and rule by force. They had to make deals to build a coalition by relying on these powerful, independent local families, these clans. The historian Raphael de Cresbini puts it perfectly. He says the state of Wu was pretty much run for the benefit of these great families. They weren't really subjects in the traditional sense. They were more like partners, and each one had its own power base, its own agenda. So what you have is this really fragile system, this precarious balance of power. The kingdom's strength depended almost entirely on the leader's ability to manage all these powerful, self-interested clans. Sun Quan, he was a master at this political juggling act. But what happens when the juggler is gone?
And that question brings us to the tragic final act for the Kingdom of Wu. The long, stable reign is over, and that rot we talked about, the one festering just beneath the surface, it's about to break through in a big way.
And the collapse was shockingly fast. The moment Sun Quan died in 252, the kingdom just plunged into chaos. A regent is assassinated in a coup in less than a year. His successors try to grab power for themselves, and it all culminates in the tyrant Sun Hao taking the throne, completely replacing that old stability with just a vicious, bloody power struggle. Simply put, with Sun Quan gone, the glue that held everything together was gone too. That fragile balance of power just shattered. All those powerful families who had propped up the state, now they were fighting each other to control it for their own gain. The result was total chaos, a complete breakdown of order. The court was just paralyzed by infighting. Horrific palace murders became a regular thing. And the final emperor, Sun Hao, He ruled through pure terror, killing or exiling anyone who even looked at him wrong. The kingdom of Wu was literally tearing itself apart from the inside out.
So that mighty southern fortress, the one protected by the giant Yangtze River, it was suddenly vulnerable. Not because its walls had failed, but because the defenders inside were too busy fighting each other.
So by 279, let's be honest, the once mighty kingdom of Wu was just a shadow of its former self. All those years of infighting, corruption, and pure tyranny had hollowed it out from the inside. It was basically an empire in name only, totally rotten to the core.
I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day. The prosperous, stable, well-led kingdom from Sun Quan's time had devolved into this corrupt, chaotic mess run by a tyrant. That foundation we talked about, it hadn't just cracked, it had completely rotted away.
And then comes the year 280. The stage is set. The once great kingdom is nothing but an empty shell. The end was no longer a question of if, but when.
When the Northern Jin dynasty finally decided to invade, it wasn't even a fair fight. It was more like a final push on an already crumbling wall. The Wu forces, totally demoralized and broken by their own politics, just collapsed. The great Southern Empire folded without much of a struggle.
And so, the story of Wu leaves us with this really powerful question. It's a stark reminder, isn't it? A nation that's built on the charisma and skill of just one person, instead of on strong, unified institutions, well, it's basically built on a foundation of sand. As soon as that one leader is gone, the whole thing is ready to come crashing down.